No, I think well. Um, we had a scary movie night on Halloween to try to keep our guys from going to parties and doing some dumb things. Had a lot of the team show up. Um, we've officially set a record for most practices with one game under your belt in the history of college football. There's no question about that. But I think the guys are learning to roll with the punches.
Quick follow up. I know that it's there's some gray area in the whether a team's going to play or not. Did you what do you think of that? And would it be better if there was just a set red line? You're either playing or you're not, based on where your roster is health wise.
I've weighed in on my opinion on some of those decisions before, and it hasn't done any good. So I don't think I'll weigh in on my decision on their decision on that. I know they left a provision in there for teams to decide if it wasn't safe in their community or university to play, and that's what our last opponent chose to do. So we're on to the next one.
Uh, Brian Christopherson, 24/7 Sports.
Hey Scott, in watching Northwestern on film from their first two games, what strikes you as maybe different about them this year compared to last year? What stands out when you watch them?
I've watched more defense than offense to this point. They kind of whipped us on that side of the ball last year, and they look the same or better this year. So, obviously their offense, I think, so far through two games is doing a lot better than they did last year, and looks to be pretty good to me. But they're always going to be a smart, physical, disciplined team on both sides of the ball, and defense has been good since I've been in the league. So we'll have our work cut out for us.
The Athletic, Mitch Sherman.
Hey, Scott. Pat Fitzgerald said today that you guys would have a huge advantage by having the week off while they had to play Iowa on Saturday. How do you characterize the pluses and minuses of maybe getting a little extra rest, and what was your adjusted schedule both through the weekend and the early part of this week with tomorrow being off?
Oh, maybe if this was week 7 or 8, having a week off would be nice. We've only played one game, so I don't know. Pat's one of the smartest guys in the country, probably, but I don't know if I agree with him on that one. We've been doing the best we can. Like I said, I think we've had more practices with one game under our belt than any football team in the history of football. We just want to play. We practiced Saturday, took Sunday off, practiced today, going to take tomorrow off, going to practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Caleb Henry, KLIN.
Coach, you had a what turned out to be a bye week last week, off tomorrow. How are you controlling intensity in practice with no built-in bye weeks over the course of this season compared to how you would handle intensity during a practice week and a game week in previous years?
We're making it up as we go along. I'm being honest. You got to have a feeling for where your team is. Played one game and we're done for 2 weeks. It's hard to predict those things, so we just got to make a daily call and keep trying to get our guys better without risking their health too much.
Husker Online, Sean Callahan.
Hey, Coach, how much of your job is just trying to manage the roller coaster of emotions of, telling your kids things are on, things are off, et cetera? I mean, and can you just speak to the challenge of that, keeping these kids kind of level-headed through all the ups and downs?
Yeah, Sean, to this point, the kids are kind of like I am. They're kind of callous to the whole thing. I told them at one point that I thought it was going to go to we had to scramble to try to find an opponent to fill the game, and so we just want to let our kids play, and the kids just want to play. Not everybody was available, so in about a few hours we came up with one that was going to be able to PCR that test their kids on a Thursday and a Friday and fly here, and we could test them again. we told the kids we were going to try. Told them it was probably going to go to a vote of the Big Ten, whether they're going to let us or not. We tried to do it the right way. I don't think they were very confident when they heard that, and they were right. So we didn't get to play. The kids kind of laugh about those things now. More than anything, they just want to be on the field competing, and hopefully we get a chance to this Saturday.
Lincoln Journal-Star, Steve Sipple.
Hi, Scott. I just wanted to confirm. So Cam Taylor-Britt and Deontay Williams will be out in this game?
They're suspended for the first half.
Okay. And is that, I mean, how do you feel about that? Was there any chance that because you guys didn't have a game that they would be able to play?
No, Sip. I've been through this before. We've missed games because of hurricanes 2 years in a row and a lightning storm, and now coronavirus, and we're kind of old hands at this. But we've had a kid that was suspended, and then we miss a game, and the suspension carried over to the next game. Certainly don't think that's necessarily fair to these kids, especially we're down 33% of our original season now. We're down to 8 games if we get to play them all from here on out. So it's an awfully big penalty, considering I thought at the very least those calls were, one call at least was very close, and it's too bad for the kids that are getting the opportunity to play taken away and are going to miss a half on top of that.
One quick question about Northwestern. Patty Fisher, 3-time All Big Ten linebacker. Just what does that say about a player that already has been an All Big Ten player 3 times?
He's impressive. He just finds a way to make plays. That's what you got to say about their whole defense. They're in the right place. Their eyes are good. They all see the ball thrown. They all rally. They tackle well in space. They're physical up front. They do a great job, the players and the coaches. He's obviously been the leader of that for a few years now, and I'll be glad when he's out of the league.
Thank you.
Andy Kendi, KETV.
Hey, Scott. Tomorrow, you guys being off, Election Day, what do you tell your kids about valuing the moment and the message to them? For a lot of these kids, would be their first time voting in a big election like this.
Yeah, I just want them to understand what the country's all about and what their rights are. And, obviously you'd have to be living under a rock to not have heard that a million times this year. But we took a straw poll in the meeting this morning, and I asked the guys how many guys had voted and how many were going to vote tomorrow. And, the majority of our team has either already voted or is planning on doing it. So that's what democracy is all about. Constitutional republic, and I know the guys that aren't from here hopefully cast their votes back home already, and guys that can vote here probably will tomorrow.
Daily Nebraskan, Martin Hers.
Hey, Coach. I guess with no home game, what are some of the challenges that maybe the team's seen with starting the season with 2 consecutive road games?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Now we want to play, and we want to play in Lincoln. We want to play in front of fans. It's just not a normal year. But, it's kind of Murphy's Law right now. Missing a game, missing a home game, all the things that are happening. I think our kids have a little bit of chip on their shoulder, and I don't know what will happen Saturday. We're playing a really good team, but I know our kids are going to play hard.
Omaha World-Herald, Sam McEwen.
Hey, Scott. I want to revisit that comment you just made. Why do you feel like how can you tell your team's kind of has a chip on his shoulder, and why?
You can just tell, Sam. They've wanted to play. They see us fighting to try to get them to play. We've kind of failed at every turn, but they just want to be on the field. I think they feel like maybe some people are out to get them or have an axe to grind against them a little bit. I think they feel like they haven't accomplished everything that they could have accomplished. I think they feel like they've lost some close games that we could have won if we'd have played a little better, a little harder, a little smarter. I think our program is ready to turn a big-time corner, but it's tough, too, if we're given circumstances where we can't get on the field and get better. I think our kids are just anxious to get back out there and try to compete to win a game.
I know you've only had the one game to kind of gauge that, but you've said a couple times you feel like your team's very close to getting around it. What are you seeing in practice and within your culture that makes you feel confident that the quality of the play, regardless of the opponent, is coming around?
We're doing little things better. To win in this league, you got to block, you got to tackle, you got to get open, and you got to cover, and you got to play smart. The margin of error in this league, there's too many good teams, so the margin of error is real thin. I feel like for 2 years we've kind of found ways to not win. Even 2 years ago up in Northwestern, I think it was 90 yards to 5 yards in penalties, and we lost turnover battles and, had a 15-yard penalty on a last drive where we pinned them on the one, and they go down and score and get to overtime, and we get another penalty and snap the ball through our quarterbacks. We've just found ways to not win. You can't do that against a good team like Northwestern, a team that's not going to beat themselves. So, I think just from a maturity standpoint, our kids have turned a corner. I think they're doing the fundamentals things better. But we got to win a game sometime and get confidence and build on that.
Also, Omaha World-Herald, Evan Bland.
Hey, Scott, just wanted to ask quick if you guys had added anyone else onto scholarship in the last couple of weeks.
No, just the ones that you've heard about so far.
Associated Press, Eric Olson.
Yes, Scott, I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, but I was just wondering, as a coach, you say your team has a chip on its shoulder. Are you ever on guard as a coach to seeing if your guy's spirit is broken, kind of going the other way because of all the kind of the adversity they've gone through just trying to get a season going?
I haven't thought about that one time because I just don't see it. We get 2 or 3 more games canceled. I don't know, but I don't think we have the type of guys that are going to throw their hands up and give up. They just want to play, so we're trying to let them play. And this is such a broken, messed up year. I see some college teams that have 6 or 7 games played already, and my kids trick or treated on Saturday. I was able to go. That was the one positive out of all this. But it's November. We played 1 game, so they just want to play.
One follow-up, you said that you have the most practices of any team in college football history with having just 1 game under your belt. How many practices have you guys had, do you think?
We were just talking about that. I'd have to add them up. And I don't know the number, but we've been at this a while, particularly in some points when the coaches couldn't be around the players, but they had some captain-led workouts and things. I have no idea what the total is, but that's why it's getting another week to practice. We would have rather played a game last week.
I have 2 or 3 more for Coach. Joe Nugent, WWT.
Hey, Scott. We know turnover is always a big thing in the outcome of games. You've said, a lot about Northwestern's defense. They've also caused 7 turnovers in just 2 games. That's a pretty impressive clip. Is there something else at play, or are they doing that based on the fundamentals that you've already spoken about?
I think it's both. I think they got really good players, but they do a good job of having 11 sets of eyes on the football at all times. You don't see guys with their backs to the ball. In the Iowa game, they got a couple tip picks, and that happens when a lot of guys are watching the football. A lot of guys are rallying to where they need to. They're pursuing well. So they're going to create turnovers, but they capitalize on a lot because of how disciplined they are and how good they are with their eyes and their effort. And seems like it's been that way since I've been watching them.
Back to Parker Gabriel, Lincoln Journal-Star.
Scott, I know you're playing a bunch of young guys on offense, but with Bryce Bennett and Ethan Piper in particular, what would you like to see? What's sort of the next step for each of them from their first time out to their second time out?
Just improvement. I think both played well in their first time out 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. A little more consistency, finishing plays a little better, but those guys are going to be good players for us for a while around here, and some of our young players certainly could have benefited again from a game last week, but we'll keep trying to get them experience so we can get better.
And last one for Coach, Hale Varsity, Derek Peterson.
Hey, Scott. You said this a few minutes ago that Northwestern doesn't beat itself. Your players have said the same thing. It seems like that gets said about that team year after year. What do you think it takes to get a program to that point? Is it just like Coach Fitz has been there for so long that's a byproduct of it, or is it something else?
It's probably a lot of things. It's good coaching. It's having a veteran team. It's probably having a lot of smart kids on your team. You can't be a dummy and get into Northwestern. So I think the kids that play football there are probably the type of kids every parent wants their daughter to marry. Smart, extremely smart kids that are athletic and going to be successful in life. And those kind of kids probably pretty good at being disciplined and not making a mistake.